Today on XPlay, it's been a year since Cyberpunk 2077 glitched into our buggy hearts. We examine if spending 12 months in the center of a shitstorm makes a game any better. Plus, the XPlay lizard gets a name. I'm hoping for Sessler Jr. It's game time.
Welcome to XPlay. Do you know what horrible tragedy happened 1 year ago?
The winter COVID surge killed lots of people?
Nope.
Wonder Woman 1984 beat Amazing Spider-Man 2 as the worst superhero movie ever?
Ooh, close.
Cyberpunk 2077 completely pooped the bed.
Ah, that's the one. It's hard to believe, but it's been a whole year since Keanu Reeves had a city to burn, and we look back at how it all started and how it's going.
Enjoy!
It's hard to believe that it's been 1 year since CD Projekt's Cyberpunk 2077 disastrously crashed onto PCs and consoles everywhere. So what exactly has happened to Cyberpunk over 2021? And is this title finally worth your time? Well, get ready to wake up, XPlay. We have a city to burn. Alright, now, before we dive into Cyberpunk's present, it's essential we know its past. For those who may have forgotten Cyberpunk's wacky development timeline, here's a handy refresher in under 77 seconds. In 2012, Cyberpunk 2077 was announced for the first time. Then, in January of 2013, CD Projekt Red released their first teaser trailer, which was viewed over 17 million times. Developers promised that this game would set a new standard for futuristic RPGs. Fast forward to 2017. Internally, Cyberpunk was being put through the cyber ringer. Adam Badowski took over as the game's director and demanded several overhauls, including shifting the game from third person to first person. June 2018. Fans are treated to a surprise trailer at E3 that showcased features they could expect in Cyberpunk 2077, which ended up being primarily fake and directed footage that did not reflect actual gameplay. And the time spent crafting the trailer took away from actual development of the game. June 2019. Keanu Reeves appears on the Xbox stage, tells us all we're breathtaking.
You're all breathtaking.
And announces that the release date for Cyberpunk is April 2020. The game begins to bank pre-sales, 8 million to be exact. January 2020, this thing called COVID slowly starts to cause global closures and shutdowns. CD Projekt Red announces that the game won't be ready in April and shifts the launch date to September. June 2020, that COVID thing isn't going away and the studio announces another delay, this time until November. Then in November, the game gets one final delay until December 10th, and Cyberpunk launches. There. Sprinkled throughout the development and launch were constant internal issues as well. We don't put our workers in crunch, says the company who would later put their employees in crunch. In fact, one former audio programmer told Bloomberg that there were times when he would crunch up to 13 hours a day, 5 days a week. All the while working on a game that tells its players to give a giant middle finger to the corpos that control them and their lives. So, go figure. So now that we've got all that under our dystopian belts, what has happened this year? 2021. Well, a lot and simultaneously not a lot. Let me explain. Cyberpunk 2077 started the new year with, well, still being unavailable in the PlayStation Store and was the holiday gift equivalent of getting coal in your stocking. But then CD Projekt Red pulled themselves up by their green power polyamide padded athletic shorts and got to work. They released official modding tools, allowing players to basically fix the game for them. Better vehicle handling, full gameplay rebalance, fixing shadows so your character actually looks like they have hair, and of course, even the ability to turn one of the fastest vehicles in the game into Thomas the Tank Engine. And then came the patches. Patch 1.1 was huge. It brought bug fixes. It brought stability improvements. It also broke the game even more. That's right. This first big fix actually broke a main game quest for a number of players. Patch 1.2 was delayed from February until the end of March. According to CD Projekt Red, this was only the beginning of more patches and more delays. The major expansions and next-gen versions of the game were ultimately delayed until 2022. And while there were a few patches throughout the year, someone forgot to tell CD Projekt Red that DLC does not stand for do less content, because their first major free content push only included a new car, a new outfit for Johnny Silverhand, and 2 new jackets. Yeah, that was it. But don't worry, they brought back wet roads. That's right, everybody, the wet roads are back. It's like a car ad from 10 years ago in the Cyberpunk game. And here we are in December. Patch 1.31 and the 1-year anniversary of the game's release. And, well, Cyberpunk 2077 is okay. Outside of 2 jackets, a car, and a fresh look for Keanu, nothing has been fundamentally changed or added to Cyberpunk 2077. Sure, the game doesn't crash as much, and it can support mods on the PC, but for a year of change in development, Cyberpunk 2077 is moved an inch instead of a mile. Compare this to another historical gaming blunder from the last decade, No Man's Sky. The game was released to negative reviews and disappointment in August of 2016, but then just that November, merely 3 months later, Sean Murray and the Hello Games team published the Foundation update. This was the first of many huge updates that helped create a better game and address user issues. And after 4+ years of hard work, Hello Games managed to win Best Ongoing Game at the Game Awards last year.
The Game Award goes to No Man's Sky.
And look, I get it, we're still in the middle of a pandemic that has continued to impact employment, accessibility, and availability within countless workspaces. Additionally, every studio is different, but I would be remiss not to compare the two. One studio that made it a high priority to make their game better, and one that is, well, taking its time.
Whoa, Adam. I've sat idly by as you've dished about Cyberpunk, and well, I want to share my thoughts too.
Frosk, did you just hack into my studio?
Yes, and I may have also encrypted your files via a ransomware attack to sell on the black market. So, you're gonna let me say good things about Cyberpunk. It's time for my soapbox confessional. I love Cyberpunk 2077. I said it, and all of you Muppets can come fight me on this one. I'll go down cybernetic can swinging. Now look, Cyberpunk is a difficult title to approach amidst the macro discussion of consumer versus developer, or more accurately, consumer versus corporate overlords. Most would have it die on the hill of pre-orders, a warning sign to shareholders that we are done around. The gaming equivalent of Vlad the Impaler leaving caps locks on. Honestly, the disdain for the project needs to be separated from the content and from the studio, which is a shame because Cyberpunk is a perfect metaphor for everything the genre critiques. A future where corporations are built on people rather than by people, stripping soul for power as greed consumes everything good. But these extreme conditions are perfect for reflecting what matters to us, and to me, it's a damn good time. And just recently, we finally got some internal updates regarding CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk 2077, and more. In an interview, the president went on to say, "We believe that in the long run, Cyberpunk 2077 will be perceived as a very good game. And like our other titles, it will sell for years. Mwahaha." Maybe not with a laugh. Especially as the hardware gets more powerful over time and we improve the game. We're working on updates all the time, and we're also working on a version for the latest generation of consoles. Of course, the original release taught us a lot. It gave us a kick, motivated us to make changes that will make us better for the future. The Cyberpunk 2077 Steam numbers are up and almost hit nearly 30,000 concurrent players in the last 30 days. We haven't seen numbers like that since February 2021, and it certainly helps that the game is on sale right now. In no way am I saying let's praise the company for putting out the fires it started. If anything, I hope that Cyberpunk 2077 is treated as a cautionary tale for future games and studios alike. But as someone who loves the game, just as many others do, I wanted to throw my thoughts into this reflective video and get some sweet Adam Sessler encrypted files at the same time. It's a win-win for Cyberfrost.
Now you're probably wondering, okay Adam, so are you going to tell me I should give this game another shot or what? Well, personally, I would only recommend picking up Cyberpunk 2077 if it's on sale and you truly consider yourself interested in video games. It isn't simply a good or bad buy, but rather a study. A study of what a game with high ambitions can sometimes turn out to be. What happens when a title is hit with delays, poor directions, and a pandemic. How massive pre-sales can lead to massive disappointment. There are nuggets of a good next-gen game in there, and you may find enjoyment within its dystopian LA landscape, as Frost has, or you may not. But ultimately, you'll have witnessed one of the latest and most notorious chapters in video game history.
You know, I look forward to the year 2077 when Adam will likely be a surly living head in a jar, and I'll probably still be hosting XPlay, beside a surly living head in a jar. Now, travel into the near future of 4 minutes from now, right after this break, as we continue talking Cyberpunk. Stay tuned.
E is the only place Hollywood icons would send their kids to work.
Dude, are you kidding me?
This January.
Today, breeding season.
Nope, I will not be doing that.
8 celebrity kids.
These are the shoes I was telling you about.
Prada ones?
They're perfect for the ranch, right?
Famous parents.
My dad is Shaquille O'Neal.
Your dad is like worldwide.
0 life skills.
I don't touch sheep. I don't ride horses.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
Giddy up for relatively famous ranch rules. New series, January 12th, only on E.
Welcome back to XPlay. So, is this what it's like in the future?
Pretty sick, right?
I assume this is all a hyper-realistic hologram.
Yeah.
And our real bodies are laying in a gross dentist chair while we replay a brain dance of an XPlay episode.
You know, I can't tell if you're disgusted or if you're excited.
Find out as we continue our conversation of Cyberpunk 2077. Check it out.
Frost and the Black Okage are joining me right now to talk about their thoughts here on the 1-year anniversary of the glorious, memorable launch of Cyberpunk 2077. Thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you, Adam.
When did you actually play the game? When did it become playable enough for you that you could actually even have a thought on Cyberpunk beyond its obvious glitches and technical errors?
I played it when it first came out, just because my audience for G4, they were, oh, we got to know what you think. We got to know what you think. It was like one of the biggest games.
And was it on PC?
I played it on PC. It was before all the patches had dropped. That's still my impression of the game, and I got all the way to the end. And it was the way people feel about Battlefield 2042. That's how I feel about Cyberpunk 2077. Obviously, it's gotten better, but like that was my experience, and it was really bad what I played. I was falling through the map. I remember there was missions where like cars were spawning on top of me, so I would fail missions. I remember there would be bugs where like I'd get involved in boss fights and they would get stuck in walls or they wouldn't move at all, or like they would be confused on what animations. So it made me lose immersion a lot of times. For me, it was just kind of like I was just kind of just going through the motions, and it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But there were certain things that I appreciated about it.
I had the game preloaded and ready to go, and as soon as it unlocked, I think at like midnight or maybe it was 1 a.m. depending on like time zone, I got into the game, played it for probably till like dawn, slept, and then got up and played it again. But I experienced 0 bugs. I didn't fall into any sort of trap. I saw like all of the hate that was going on and recognized that people were really frustrated with how it was playing or performing on later consoles. But I was on like a pretty souped up computer, so I played the PC version.
You just call my PC poor?
Huh? I'm not saying that your PC's the Honda Civic equivalent, but yeah, I didn't even get like any of the T-poses problem. The one thing that was frustrating to me were obviously certain mechanics were broken in the game, but not like in a glitch way, like how the crit doesn't stack, certain perks that weren't working correctly, but I didn't experience like floating through a wall or a car spawning on top of me. There'd be times when I'd call my car and it wouldn't show up, but I would just reload the game and then it would fix itself.
What happened in a sense was like we both played the same
And had
exact
a
game.
vastly different
and then here's the thing,
experience.
I'm not gonna invalidate your experience because I 100% believe you. Like some people on the internet have a hard time believing that we played completely different games. So I was like, what happened?
I was kind of in Frost's situation where I had just tracked down to 3090, and I was like, okay, maybe if I can't play this game, then this really is a mess. And it was for the most part a stable game. I think a lot of hard crashes to the desktop. What I did notice later on in the game was oddities that I can't tell if it was a bug or not. Like just stretches of road where no other cars would appear. And just kind of these small things. And I almost wondered if that was part of those immediate updates to kind of, I guess, take some of the load off the game. At the end of the day, I just didn't find it a great game. This was not the Cyberpunk Witcher I had been hoping for. TBH, what did you think of it?
I didn't think it was like a terrible game. I just thought it was a good game at best. It wasn't great. If we get all those bugs out of the way and like I look at it from that, it was just good. My biggest problem with the game was actually the main storyline. It wasn't particularly interesting to me. Outside like the opening act, the actual highlight of it, in my opinion, was the side quests, the characters that you got to meet and the different mission structures. But like the main storyline was pretty straightforward, but it didn't do anything. This game felt like a watered down Deus Ex in my opinion. And I guess for me, what made it so disappointing was we had been waiting for what, 10, 15 years or something like that. And it's one of those things is like, could they have really lived up to the hype? And I think the answer to that question is no. But it's still an okay game. It just didn't do anything revolutionary in my opinion. In my opinion, Deus Ex Mankind Divided is a better version of this.
It's a good game. I think it has really great moments. And when it's at its best is when you are basically playing on the rails of doing exactly what the game wants you to be. Like I always talk about the opening sequence with Jackie Wells after your kind of tutorial where you're sitting in the car and you drive out into Night City. And yeah, it basically only gives you like one window to look at, but just all of the design elements of the music, the rain, the aesthetic, the storytelling, I'm like, that is when Cyberpunk is at its best, is when it's giving you that Blade Runner-esque experience of getting that whole like vibe and theme. This was supposed to be the Red Dead Redemption 2, but in the Blade Runner universe, and it definitely falls very short of that, but I do think of it as a really polished and refined action-adventure game when it's at its best. I don't think it's so much an RPG game.
It's really good, yeah. I guess the way people were talking about it, I was looking for some level of innovation. Now that the dust is kind of settled and I look back and they've cleaned up the bugs and glitches, it's a solid game. It just didn't blow my mind, I think.
Let's look forward now. 2022, such a magical year. Maybe even for Cyberpunk. They see the game now as a more perpetual game. I guess the question I have is, why on earth is CD Projekt Red still like allowing the albatross to hang over their neck?
Why not? I mean, somebody brings up the name of this game, like it generates buzz. Like the news stories are always buzzing. It's always buzzing on Twitter. For some reason, there's still a buzz around this game.
We know exactly like how game companies are structured. Different departments do different things. And so I have no doubt that in CD Projekt Red that they have, a Witcher team, a Cyberpunk team, X team working on whatever IPs or games they're trying to maintain. And it's not like you're just gonna kill that team. You spent all of this time and money and energy investing in building it up, and you're going to continue to, unless you're Rockstar, you're going to continue to maintain your project because you've hired the people to do so. So if you think back to the developers of what they made and what they wanted to make, like give them time, and I think it makes perfect sense that they're going to continue to work on something that they've spent years building and now they want to finish it.
I think you could also argue that they've given themselves the creative leeway to actually be able to create more and more content. They literally can tell any type of story that they want. They set themselves up to be able to produce whatever type of content they want for this game versus something like, I don't know, like a Call of Duty that has to work in a tight constraint. So it's like if they have creative ideas that they couldn't fit into the initial game and there's still some interest from the audience, then why not?
My thinking right now is I really, really like the license. I think the world has so much potential with all that lore you were talking about. I wish they would just ditch this nightmare version that they created and try to start fresh since they're the ones with the licenses. As a final thought, two of the most notorious movies ever made was Cleopatra, Elizabeth Taylor. It was supposed to be this great big movie, it cost a fortune. Another really expensive movie was Heaven's Gate, Michael Cimino. As time has moved on, people now regard this Michael Cimino movie, Heaven's Gate, as something that was a very, very good movie and that was just hated at the time. Whereas Cleopatra still is a pile of hot steaming garbage. Where do you think that Cyberpunk is going to be regarded 10, 20 years from now?
10 years from now, the conversation will completely change. I mean, a perfect example is Battlefield 4. When that game came out, it blue screened my PC. I was on that game's ass, man. And how many years later it has been, people talk about it, it's like it is one of the better Battlefields. So it's like if they continue to support the game, somewhere down the line, people are going to look through it and they're not going to remember that. We live in a what have you done for me now society, and I think people are going to be like, oh well, they're still supporting the game. They're pro-consumer. They're putting out content. I think somewhere down the line, people will forget about this stuff.
I mean, I do think that Cyberpunk will never really be able to shake the reputation of the echo chamber that the internet has created around it of fooling a lot of people, and I think that will stick with them for a long time. But again, if you look at the game objectively, I think of it a lot as kind of this generation's Fable. Like, Fable was supposed to be something entirely different than what we got. But that said, Fable is still one of my favorite series and a really beloved game by me. It was not what was promised, but it doesn't make it any less good, and that's how I look at Cyberpunk. Was this what was promised? Absolutely not. Is it a hell of a ton of fun? Yes. Yes, it is.
I don't think that PS4 version will be forgiven, though.
Thank you both. I really appreciate the fact that, Frost, invoked Fable, which I will always support as well. And TBH, you pretty much showed that Janet Jackson, with What Have You Done For Me Lately, was predicting all the ills of our contemporary era. So I guess that's very Cyberpunk. Who knows?
Cyberpunk 2077, for good or ill, had a huge impact on gaming this past year. But an even bigger impact on the show is our resident lovable reptile. Yes, coming up is the moment you've all been waiting for. We're gonna reveal the official name of our XPlay mascot and maybe throw in a top 10 list for good measure. Come on back after the break.
Pizza Hut stuffed crust is the crust that made crust good. Topped and stuffed with over a half-pound of cheese. What are you so afraid of? Loving it? Original stuffed crust, just $12.99. Only from Pizza Hut. No one out Pizza the Hut. Wait a minute.
What's the recipe for surprising the kids, treating yourself, and ditching dish duty? You're looking at it. Order your Pizza Hut faves like original pan, original stuffed crust, and more at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Welcome back to XPlay. And now it's time, my friends, for us to christen our beloved lizard in a fish tank in the back of our set. Please join us for the happy occasion, which includes the ceremonial top 10 list. Enjoy.
Changes in the air. When the leaves start turning and there's a certain jolly festivity in my heart, I know it can only mean one thing. It's lizard season.
Lizard what now?
Let's kick it off with this cold-blooded holiday season with the top 10 lizards in video games. Now, as we all know, we've had a plethora of lizard depictions in video games over the years. Some great, some even better. But here's the definitive list of the best lizards in video games, starting with 10. Number 10 is Leon. I don't know how to pronounce his name,
Kowalski.
but the lizard from Star Fox.
Annoying bird, I am the great Leon.
He is a space pirate. He's a chameleon. What's not to love?
Leon Kowalski is a great one.
I love what I loved about Leon. He was very aggressive. I think he was one of the main reasons that you heard Fox help, you know. So I really appreciate what Leon has contributed to the gaming space.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Dimitri from Sly Cooper. Ooh. He's a marine iguana that's a former art student who's turned into a villain by harsh feedback from critics.
I think he's definitely my favorite Slavic lizard.
Look at the ice on his wrist too. He's definitely a cool dude. He's definitely a cool dude. Number 8 is the Scalebound dragon. Thuban follows you around and kills things for you. Scalebound deserved to be on the list because it was one of the greatest games that never was. It's one of my favorite things to do with my Xbox controller. I like to turn on my Xbox and boot up some footage on YouTube of Scalebound and just pretend that I got to control that big lizard.
Number 7 is the crystal lizard from Dark Souls.
I'm happy when I see them, and I'm like, I just want to get them while I don't want them to ever turn a corner. Because that's like, oh, I'll follow you around the corner, I forget I'm playing Dark Souls, and boom, I'm dead by something else that was waiting around the corner.
Coming in at number 6 is Reptile from Mortal Kombat, a man-shaped lizard that spits acid in an incredible fashion. He probably has some of the most disrespectful breath in gaming history. This man, hot sauce, whatever, anything disgusting he could put in his mouth, he was spitting it at you, and if you wanted to disrespect your opponent, I think he was a great lizard. This is a great thing for the top 10 right here. Coming in at number 5 is Charmander from Pokemon, one of the most memorable Pokemon and one of the most memorable lizards. Although, I don't know, like him becoming Charizard, he became a jerk, but anyways. Number 4, Bowser from Super Mario. He's been menacing Mario for 35 years. Bowser is the GOAT of video game reptilian villains.
I would have rated him higher on this list. Bowser is just he's a beast. You love to see him.
Coming in at number 3 is Spyro from Spyro the Dragon.
Wait, we just decided that dragons are reptiles?
I mean, he looks like
the closest thing.
He looks like a lizard.
Is that the determining fact?
He's a hot dog sandwich. He's making its way back into
It has
now.
scales.
Moving on. Number 2, Flick from Animal Crossing. I disagree wholeheartedly. He's just a red chameleon, and he's the host of the Bug Off event. Practically a lizard that, I mean...
I would have put him towards the bottom of the list.
I would have, maybe honorable mention.
Coming in at number 1.
It's a big surprise.
Yes. Last but not least, we have the cream of the crop, the lizard world. The best lizard that ever was. The light of my life. The fire of my loins. My sin, our set lizard.
Wait. What? No, hold on a second. First off, that was the most metal cut to see the lizard just eat something. But second, she can't win. We can't award her the best lizard without an official name. What are we gonna put on the trophy here? It's finally time to reveal her name. But first, I have a little ceremony planned for us. Reverend. Now, this is Reverend Abby. She legitimately is ordained and is going to christen our lizard to ensure that this little lady is named in witness of both our audience and God.
Great. I would just like everyone to think about the body of Christ.
Okay.
Lizard Christ, our Lord. Yes. And now she can go to heaven, and in 20 years, when she wants to get married, I can do that as well.
Great.
Do you do brisses by any chance? I've got a vole.
Now that our little lizard is finally baptized in the loudest spot in the kingdom of heaven, we can finally reveal her name. Everyone, let me introduce to you Gexmantha Gex XPlay.
Wow, little Gex. What a wonderful way to celebrate lizard season.
You know, Gexmantha just has a nice ring to it.
I actually have a lot of Gexmanthas in my extended family. It's Bavarian.
You know, you may not love the show, but you love Gex the X-Play lizard. And for more chances to look at her cute, scaly face, check out our live streams on Twitch and YouTube.
It's all for you, Gex. It's all for you.
Bye-bye.